Yelling, got it bumping.
Alright, so this is my first YouTube video and I just really got into the mood for it because everything that's been going on with Gilbert Burns stepping out against Kamaru Usman, and now Jorge Masvidal, Street Jesus, is stepping up to fill his spot. Right now, honestly, it cannot be a better time to be an MMA fan. What I really want to get into is breaking down this Masvidal fight. It's already the Masvidal fight, even though he just got announced into it, but honestly, I think we're in for a real treat. We're in for a great fight. No doubt, no shade thrown to Gilbert Burns at all. That man's an amazing, great athlete. I'm sure he's going to get a shot. He's a bunch of shit going on with the COVID-19, unfortunately. Prayers out to him. Hopefully he gets over it quick. And you know, he's going to get a shot. Just not now. Unfortunately, it isn't happening now. But in Usman's case, maybe he should be a little bit thankful that Masvidal is stepping in, because they're about to just drop the fight. They're about to take the UFC should be thankful that Masvidal is stepping in, because they're about to drop the fight and drop it down to just a basic cable fight net, possibly, or just cancel the card in general. But Masvidal stepped in, and honestly, I think they're going to make more sales than they did initially with Usman versus Burns. I mean, Burns, like I said, tremendous athlete, definitely would have been a great fight, without a doubt in my mind. But his name, his fame, isn't on the same level as Masvidal has been, especially since he got on his hype train all last year. You know, that, you know, he came up, knocked out Darren Till, you know, was landed the incredible knee with Ben Askren, which is on everybody's freaking timeline. It still pops up. Can't help but retweet it every time I see it myself. And then the ultimate mecca of a fight that happened at Madison Square Garden with Nate Diaz and The Rock showing up, and it was just an awesome moment. You know, you can't replicate things like that. So Masvidal brings all those elements to the table, bringing this into the Usman fight. And not many people may not know who Usman is. I think that most people know who Masvidal is, even if you just know, oh, that's the guy that landed the knee on the other dude. Yeah, exactly. You know who he is. Usman versus Burns, great fight for those who are hardcore fans who follow the sport. But aside from that, when you put a name like Masvidal on there and it starts trending on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, it's going to bring in all these other folks who are going to be thinking, man, Masvidal's fighting, gotta buy it. You know, like the dude who fought Nate Diaz last time, gotta buy it. So, you know, this puts into a whole lot of perspective. I think, and when breaking down the fight, I think that Masvidal's biggest challenge is going to be dealing with Usman's pressure. You know, a lot of people said that he was getting worn down in the Nate Diaz fight, so we'll see how it goes. I personally think that he you know, Masvidal learns. He's shown that since he had his resurrection, and he went from, you know, being indecisive to just going for it. He's fearless in there now. He doesn't hesitate. I think that was a big part of what caused him to change his momentum in the way it was going. So, you know, I think that he's learned from the Nate Diaz fight. You know, Nate Diaz is a different fighter than Usman, I understand, but, you know, Usman, it didn't show in the Colby Covington fight, of course. You know, Usman is going to try to use that clinch control like he did so well against Tyron Woodley. You know, with Colby Covington and Usman, I felt like there's, you know, some bad blood between them. Obviously there was, and they were both great wrestlers. They're both amazing wrestlers, and they said, threw all that out the window, let's stand here and bang. Which definitely credit to both of them. I think that Usman is going to fight that same way with Masvidal. I think he's going to use his clinch work, use a little bit more of his takedowns, you know, try to get it to the ground more often than not. But Masvidal is also an experienced grappler, so, you know, he trains at American Top Team too. You know, they have some great grapplers there. So I think that Masvidal is going to have to control his pace, control his power, and Usman's going to have to deal with weathering the storm. You know, he can't let Masvidal get those big combos off, those big one-hitters. He's just explosive. He's going to have to find a way to limit that explosion. And then, you know, the true testament, Usman has obviously shown that he can go into the deep waters, that he's still there in rounds 4 and 5. Masvidal, you know, everyone said that was a tilting point between him and Nate Diaz, that later on in the fight, you know, Nate Diaz said that he was starting to hear him breathe harder, hear him wear down, feel him wear down. I think my hat is leaning more towards Masvidal than Usman on this at this point, but a lot of it's going to go into how the weight cut goes. I know Masvidal's taking this point. He's taking this fight in 6 days, and, you know, he hasn't been out of camp because there's been photos and videos of him training with Dustin Poirier, and then, you know, there's videos of Usman training with Justin Gaethje. So, you know, both of them have been training. Masvidal, he may have not been the focus of that training camp, though, unfortunately. So his weight cut, how he's going to prepare these next few days is going to be, you know, precise. You know, has to be very precise, very particular, because Usman is a different fight than most fights he's had before. As far as for Usman goes, Gilbert Burns is also just as explosive. You know, if he was preparing for Gilbert Burns You know, Masvidal may be a little bit different as far as, you know, the combos that he's thrown and the way he moves, but the explosiveness is still similar. Not the exact same, but still similar. Masvidal can relax a little bit more because he knows he has to, you know, he doesn't have as much riding on the plan. Technically, to me, Masvidal just has to go in there and make it a competition. He has to go in there and compete. Make it a fight. You know, a fight that people can be like, oh, well, you know, I want to see this again. If Masvidal has a full camp, if Masvidal has time to prepare for Usman, he may have been different. So he has to just make it competitive. Usman, you know, he can still lean on that way, saying that, you know, I was preparing for Burns instead of Masvidal. But you know, that case may be a little bit shorter than the one that Jorge could play for himself. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. If Masvidal wins, who does he fight next? I would say Gilbert Burns. You know, as much as Masvidal wants to get those high A-list numbers, if he takes out Usman in a decisive manner, he could be that A-list player. He could be that A-list fighter. He'd be a champion. He could definitely negotiate for more money on that point. You know, Dana, I got this gold, stepped in, saved the company, turned it into a pay-per-view, possibly even up the pay-per-view numbers. I think he definitely has a case to argue for that if money is an issue. Everything's going on with the pandemic. UFC is just trying to keep everybody paid. Rate increases or pay increases or something that's up in the air right now. You know, who he fights next? I would still say Gilbert Burns. You know, that dude's worked for it. He's taken out the competition. I would hate for him, you know, if I was in his position, I would be annoyed if they made him fight Usman before he moved forward on that. Aside from Burns, I could see Colby Covington pleading his case. I believe Colby would have to fight Usman again, and that's a fight that everybody wants to see. I mean, that 5-round war that they had was crazy. Maybe you can mention Nate Diaz in there. I believe Nate Diaz would have to have another outing against somebody else to get there as well. The one person I could see that has that ticket to punch it straight to the title shot would be Conor McGregor. He went to 170 to fight Cowboy, and everyone speculated that he did that simply because he wanted to fight Masvidal. And Dana White said Masvidal was too much man for Conor. I'm sure they got under Conor's skin. We all know his personality. Conor can throw his hat back into his ring and come out of retirement. Then it's going to be an exciting fight to see who comes up next. So if Masvidal wins, it's going to be a little bit shaken up. If Usman wins, I believe it's going to be right back on track. You know, the storylines are what sell these fights the most. But yeah, so that's about all I got to say for this one, guys. Like I said, first video. If you're into MMA, fighting, nutrition, conspiracy theories, ghost videos, I'm pretty much all up in that realm. So if you want to give me a follow, like, subscribe, anything, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you.